Good morning.
Good morning.
Only time he ever shows up on time, or actually early in this case, is because he bought himself a new car.
Technically, I didn't buy it. It was kind of a trade, but...
Yeah. Still technically buy. Now, what the fuck is this?
It's a slow as shit IS300, but it's a manual, so I'm happy with it.
Unlock this shit. Where's the shift knob, dude?
Oh, so the original owner had like a Gretty shift knob in there. Like, it was like sentimental to him, whatever. So he took it, but he couldn't find the stock one. I was like, whatever.
And this thing has how many miles?
294,000 miles, baby.
294,000 miles. He actually just needs to change out the oil for the first break-in period. Oh, for first break-in
I had
period?
a stock exhaust on here last night, and I wake up at 2 in the morning and all I hear is welding. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So, undisclosed friend that helped me get this car is cutting my goddamn muffler off and welding this fucking thing on here. I was like, you serious? And she was like, I ain't gonna let you drive around in that piece of shit stock.
Fuck, that hood's heavy. I forget how heavy these are. Dude, check out that 2JZ. No shit.
That's the first thing I said when I popped the hood yesterday. I was like, 2JZ, no shit.
So for everybody who doesn't know, thinks that, you know, because this is a Supra and these don't come stock with the 2J, this is a fucking 2J. It's just the NA version. So it's a 2JZ GE.
Yes. So it's what came in the GS300, SC300, pretty much anything that wasn't a twin turbo Supra, even the NA Supras came with these. The difference between this and the GTE is obviously missing twin turbos and oil squirters.
Correct. And this is high compression.
Yes. So,
and it has a gas intake manifold.
Yeah, I do want to change that later on, but we'll see. I mean, whether it stays NA or turbo is to be determined for now. I just want to maintain the car, have fun with it, slide it here and there, and fix everything that needs to be fixed.
Break the clutch, then the transmission.
But the thing is that, plus sides of the thing, it's 294,000 miles. It's a Toyota, so it's barely broken in. Doesn't overheat. I was able to drive it all the way from Riverside to where I live in Anaheim. I was able to drive it from Anaheim to here in Costa Mesa to work, and the car is just fine. I mean, the brakes are soft because the car's hella old. The brakes are still original. Clutch is still original. I'm pretty sure it's the freaking original tires, so there's a lot to be done here in terms of maintenance, but it's a good chassis and bones for me to get started and have some fun on until I get my actual car. But
original tires?
Yeah.
Yo,
this
thing has 294,000 miles, and what year is this thing?
It's a 05.
05. Let me tell you, that brake fluid looks like it's the original one.
That's probably why they're
It is so dirty and black. Holy crap.
This is probably why the brakes are super soft.
Hey, take a look at his power steering.
Yeah, Mike, we're gonna need to order a bunch of fluids today. I'm definitely gonna need to touch this thing up.
What about transmission? You gonna swap it?
It's the W55, so it's the 5-speed. It's one of the lesser knowns versus like the W54. Eventually I will swap it, but for now, for stock power, there's not much. I mean, the car makes like 160, you know, with its age. I think tops the NA2Js are making
just
like
had the timing belt done.
Yeah, 226,000, so it's not bad. I mean, definitely.
Do you guys know what that is?
That looks like, is that for the fucking headlights?
No.
What is that for?
It's a cooler.
It's a heat sink, I know that.
For your strut tower.
It's actually the igniter for the ignition coil.
Oh, so like how the SRs have it?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, it's kind of a cool thing to have. I've always wanted a 2J car. It's one of those iconic JDM motors.
Have you ever had a 2J?
I've never owned a 2J. The closest thing I've owned was an M50 out of my E36.
Have you ever worked on a 2J?
I've worked on 2Js before. They're not bad. I mean, the Supra's a lot easier because they have this stupid manifold when you deal with the twin turbo
Yeah,
one.
this is still easy to remove. It's just bolts here.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like, this is one of the motors I've always wanted to own and work on and see what I could do to it. Like, owning iconic JDM motors is like kind of like, it's a problem of mine where like I ended up buying motors for cars I don't even have. Like, I have K20s, but I've never thrown K20s in any of my Civics because I have the B18 Type R. Subaru EJ motors was another one that I got to mess around with. 4G63s is another motor, but the 2J is one of those. This is my first big boy Japanese motor. Anything that was bigger than a 4-cylinder or not a freaking rotary. So it's gonna be pretty exciting what we're gonna be able to do with this.
What do you think?
I mean,
look at this. Arlen parks right next to Henry, you know?
I guess all the dailies are all inline sixes now. I mean, Henry's got a wagon.
That's not true.
Six. I mean,
I got a Prius.
You got a Prius. So I guess we're all inline sixes here because Aslan has a fucking Boo 54. Henry's got a N52. One?
One. Oh,
One.
two.
Two. And then 2J. So,
Yeah, and Kennedy too.
Oh yeah, Kennedy's got S55. So I guess it's inline six gang up in here.
You know, I got the X5, that's a V8 twin turbo, then I
Yeah.
got the R8, and then I got the Prius.
Mike's just all about V8s and twin turbos. Well, aren't you going inline six soon?
Says who?
I thought you were picking something up today.
Says who? Why you snitching? I'm gonna go pick up something tonight, so that'll be in the vlog as well. I didn't tell Henry about it.
It's kind of funny because like this is like relating to it.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint, Henry.
It was funny because I came in, I was like,
The big brother.
I came in, I was like, Mike, I got a 2J. And he goes, so did I. I was like, fuck, I know what you got. So yeah, it's not bad though. I mean, I'm gonna have fun with this thing.
Yeah, all right, let's go outside. It's burning hot.
Yep,
It's so hot today in California. Like, what is it, like 60 degrees? No, I'm kidding. You know, everybody's always like, yeah, you know, California's always complaining about the heat. It's always like, oh, it's too hot, it's too cold.
Oh, like 70.
So what are we doing to this thing?
Valve cover gasket, intercooler, front brake pads, rotors, brake lines, brake flush, coolant flush, spark plugs.
Yeah. So this thing we did upgraded turbos on it a while back. Actually, we didn't do upgraded turbos. We only did OEM turbos, I believe. Yeah, we did OEM Mitsubishi turbos on this, and I think we did this about 3 years ago or so. Yeah, 3 years, 2018. And then now he's back for us to service everything on the car to make sure that it's tip top. And then he's going to do upgraded mods later on, such as fuel pump, inlets, outlets, stuff like that. But this is very common as well. As you guys can see, all the coolant leaking out of here. This expansion tank does separate from here all the time. And when it does, you get a nasty coolant leak like this. It's either going to break here, break here. This is even OEM actually. Hey, check this out. Look at this coolant line. It's not even OEM. OEM.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, look at the direction of it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be going like that.
So yeah, and then we're also changing out the valve cover, not the whole gasket, the whole valve cover. These rotors that he currently has on here are pretty new, plus pads, but he was saying that it's warped. He ordered this from, I believe, ECS quite some time ago, and you know, you can see he hasn't had much miles on this thing. Hey, he doesn't drive this thing much, huh?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, these rotors look brand new. Hey Henry, doesn't Jamba Juice sound amazing right now?
Yes, very, very much so.
Don't you agree?
Hell yeah.
Damn, it's a perfect day for Jamba Juice. Alright, fuck it, let's get Jamba Juice. Get the orders. I have never seen this guy work so fast in his fucking life before. All of a sudden when I tell him I'm getting him Jamba Juice, he gets the valve cover out in like, what, 15 minutes and he's already starting cleaning. Not taking no breaks. No fucking 20 shits in the process.
Are we gonna tell him about how I did rod bearings yesterday in like 3 hours?
Oh yeah, tell him.
Yeah, I did rod bearings in 3 hours.
Damn, that's why he deserves that Jamba Juice today.
And I didn't get a single thanks.
Really?
Oh, this is my thanks. Never mind.
Really?
I lied.
Hey, you know, here's my thank you. Did you enjoy it?
No.
So do you want to thank you again next time?
No, I'm good, bro. I don't like thank yous.
So it's only been about 5 minutes since the last clip, and he's already got it back on pretty much. It's either he really wants that Jamba Juice or he really wants to go home early today.
Which could it be? I wonder.
It's one or the other. Hey, Henry has that Sharpie. Oh, right here. The Sharpies are here.
Okay, cool.
So he stole that from me because he keeps touching up his wagon bumper with it. Every time he gets a scratch.
I go to fucking where's that place called? Sephora, and I go get black nail polish.
Damn baller.
know,
Why don't you just go to Mac?
Nah, bro, it's not the same.
Mac Tools?
No. Mac makeup, man.
Yeah,
Come
I know
on.
Mac makeup.
I just want to let you know, Henry, we're depending on Adam to go pick up our Jamba Juice.
Yeah.
Now-
We're gonna see him back in like another fucking 5 hours. We're gonna be closed by then.
You know, Adam, he likes to coast the sands of Sudan before he comes back.
He's gonna come back and it's like, dude, there was so much traffic to drive that 0.8 miles.
How can he run into traffic? Doesn't his carpet fly?
Keep singing.
Thong.
Sing it.
Let me see that thong.
Henry.
Henry's thong.
Show him your song.
My phone.
Show me your thong.
Down. Public, bro.
No, that's why you have the knife back here. Well, Henry started wearing a belt, so we can't really see his thong anymore.
You hear that, guys? You hear that sound? That's the same sound that Arlen made last night when he went to go pick up his IS-300.
I'm gonna be like every other fuckboy on Instagram and call him Alteza.
I asked Arlen to borrow his car after he's done with it so that I could take my wife around in it. And Arlen's like, oh, she might like it. I'm like, no, she won't. She hates Lexus because, well, old Lexus, because I had SC300 before and she closed the door on her finger and she lost her nail. Alrighty, Adam, what are we doing?
VRSF charge pipe and tile blow off valve.
Alright, we're gonna show everybody how to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Pop the hood, dog.
First step, since it's an E92, you're gonna need one of these.
Yeah, it's probably blown hood struts.
Always.
For everybody that has blown hood struts, you can buy these on Amazon for 25 bucks a pair.
We pretty much need these on most of the cars that come through the shop.
Yeah. We actually have, I think 5 of these now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have 5 of these because just about every car that comes in here has blown hood struts.
This is your charge pipe. There's 2 styles. There's this one with a blow off valve flange, and then there's another one with diverter valve flanges, which are like basically like 2 little sticks or flanges that stick out for the diverter valves. In this case, he went with tile, so that's why we have this flange. If you go with HKS, it's actually going to be different. If I'm not mistaken, it's smaller or bigger.
HKS is smaller.
I won't say smaller, yeah.
And it has like a big ass lip on it.
Yeah.
And
So
it uses a C-clip instead.
you can't just buy any charge pipe and hope it will fit any blow off valve. It has to be for the same type. So when you buy it from VRSF, they'll actually give you the option for what kind of blow off valve you want. If you want tile, this is what you'll be getting. These are very nice. They're more low key than the HKS. HKS is a very high pitch, kind of like a choo kind of noise, but tile is more like, it's low key. It's really nice. It's not obnoxious. It's not gonna give you as much of a tuner feel as an HKS would, but when you really want to go on it and then you let off, it'll make some noise. So it's not like it's quiet either. It's perfect mix in my opinion. All right, so this is the charge pipe, like I mentioned before. This is the tile blow off valve, 50 millimeter. This is the adapter that's gonna go to your lower charge pipe. So it kind of look like, if I can get it on.
Hit the gym more, bro.
Yeah, I know. So it'll kind of go like this when it's installed. There's a plastic lower charge piping, which you can change out for a silicone one, which I have. So for
Silicone
example,
or metal.
yeah, like I have a silicone one, so I don't need this, for example. Mine just goes directly onto the charge pipe. But if you have stock lower, you're gonna need that. This is a 1/8 of an inch line compared to the factory one, which is this is 1/4 inch line compared to the factory one, which is 1/8 of an inch. This basically, you're gonna need it when you run a tile blow off valve. If you don't have this line and you just run a 1/8 of an inch line, which is the factory size, you're gonna have a lot of turbo flutter.
Turbo flutter would be essentially that it's not opening up the blow-off valve or diverter fast enough. So then all that boost pressure during throttle closure is going to return all the way back to the turbo. And some people would think it sounds cool, which I agree. It sounds pretty cool. It's like doo 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 doo. But it's actually really bad for your turbos because that's actually back pressure going through the turbo or the turbine wheel as it's actually sucking in air, because no matter what, when you close the throttle, it's still spooling because your exhaust gas is still spinning the turbo. But when you actually close the throttle, all that boost pressure goes back to the turbine wheel, so you're kind of counterbalancing the flow. So then you get lag and stuff like that too. Eventually you damage your turbine wheels and bearings and all that good stuff. So you don't want that.
So this slightly remedies that, but it actually doesn't even solve the problem. So this is the side.
On certain cars, not all of them.
This is the side for the 1/4 inch line. Okay, this is the side for the 1/8 inch line. This is what I run currently. What I need to do, because I have turbo flutter, I actually need
Well,
to
you
tap.
have upgraded turbos.
Yeah, I have upgraded turbos, but I need to tap my manifold. So you instead.
Didn't you get your turbos from eBay?
No, they're from Pure. But anyway.
Pure eBay?
Oh my god. So you would need one with threads on this side that you would now cut off the nipple and then thread or tap a thread into the manifold. And then
Yeah,
you
so it'll be a
twist this
1/4
in.
inch NPT fitting,
Yeah.
barb fitting.
Wow, this is really on there. Whatever, I'm gonna need it on there anyway, so
Yeah.
I'll keep it. But yeah, and that's how you can go around the whole issue of turbo flutter. And in my case, actually, I have like a chewing noise, like a chew, because the blow-off valve is constantly opening and closing. So that's another thing you might experience where you need to tap into the manifold to get a bigger line in. Because
Yeah.
keep in mind, like you can have this on, but it's still going down to a 1/8 of an inch line, which is smaller. So it's still restrictive. And then,
All right, and then here we have the end plugs that goes into your OEM diverter. This is gonna plug that, and then you have 2 clamps that clamps this down so it doesn't fall out. And then you have 2 V-band, or not V-bands, 2 clamps, T-clamps, that's going to clamp onto your silicone holes. And then you have the fitting that goes on top of the blow-off valve. Then you also have an O-ring, which make sure you install this brown O-ring onto here, so it seals off that blow-off valve. Otherwise, you will have a leak. Then, if you don't have a O-ring for the charge pipe that's included, if you didn't opt out for it, then take it out of your OEM one and make sure you swap it over into here. Can you install that real quick so people can see where it goes?
so a lot of people forget to install these. This happens all the time where people come in for boost leaks, and when we diagnose it, check the charge pipe, pull it off, there's no O-ring in there.
Yep. So it just sits in there just like that. And this will be on your OEM one, so just swap it over. Unless your OEM one blew off, then this is probably missing. So if that's the case, you can just order one directly from BRSF, BMW, or it's actually the same O-ring as a oil filter kit for the N54, N55, N52, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So you have this O-ring that's on here. It's easier if you install it and place it on here. What I like to do is I actually stretch it apart first. Don't pull too hard. Slightly stretch it slowly, like so. That way we can seat it around here, just like that. And then we are going to install this onto here. But then we gotta swap this over, install this onto here, like so. And go past the O-ring, like that. Then we grab the blow-off valve, install that, slide it up, clamp it on, like that. And then we squeeze this as tight as we can, like that. And then we can install the other end of it. And we'll leave it loose for now. Just make sure it's tight on there. That way we can position this and tighten this wherever we want. We can do this now if we want to. Then you have the fitting that's here. It's always placed inside the bag just like this. Pull this out. There's going to be 2 washers. Leave one on there. Install this. And put the washer on the other end. Like that. And then we're going to tighten it down on here by hand. Same thing. We will leave this loose and tighten this down afterwards. Like that. So now we're going to install it in the car. Another thing to also talk about and mention is that these NPT fittings, the plugs, are always going to be loose. Every time we get one of these from BRSF, they never tighten these. So make sure you tighten this down all the way before you install it, because you're going to have a tough time tightening up the bottom one. So tighten up both of them.
That's a lot.
Alright, so we're going to remove, if you have a stock air box, you have the vacuum line that goes here. Undo that, move it aside. You can actually twist it, move it aside just like that. Then we're going to remove the cowls, which is held in from factory, that is, because I don't, yeah, those aren't really held in with 8mm bolts, one over there, one there, and then you have one there, and then one there, and then you have one here, one here. So you have 6 in total for the filter. Then you have 2 more 8mm. This is supposed to be an 8. But there's one here, and then one on the opposing side, which is here. And then once you do that, you can actually grab this wire loom here, pull it off of here. There's a little slot that slides onto it, and then you can actually access this now, which has little tabs that you can actually do by finger, like that. And that allows you to remove the additional harness out of the way, and then you can pull that all off. Alright, now that you have the intake out plus the cowls out of the way, now you have access to the charge pipe, which is located here. So now we got to remove the C-clip out of that. which we just use a flathead to remove and extract. Simple as that.
Set this aside, unless you came with a new one.
Yeah, unless it came with a new one,
I
which
think it
this
did.
one did.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you reuse it, but again, in the case if you didn't order one, you can reuse your OEM one.
Yeah.
And then this is supposed to be held on with a T30, but this is not OEM. It's actually a 10 millimeter on here. Supposed to be a T30 again. We can undo this clamp here as well.
Now these are the diverter valves where they hook up to on the intake, or the inlets I should say. I wonder if they were already on lock.
Yeah, it was already unlocked.
Could have been, huh?
Yep, there you
Wow.
go.
So these were actually just left on like this. You're supposed to lock it when you install it, like that. But in this case, that's how they already work. So
Okay, next one.
this one actually might be the same thing.
Nope. Alright, so once the diverter valves are undone, now you have the map sensor onto the charge pipe that needs to be removed and unplugged. So we'll unplug it first and then we'll swap it over to the new charge pipe afterwards.
There you go.
So just like that, unplug that, and then we're going to unplug the vacuum line that goes to the intake manifold, which is located right over there.
Always be really careful because that nipple breaks super easy.
Yeah, so if you guys yank on that thing, it might break that nipple, so just be very
Yeah.
careful with that. Take your time. And then we got to remove the bolt that's here. That's supposed to be a T30, but in this case, it's a 10 millimeter. Remove that. That's out of the way. Then we push the charge pipe down with the throttle body out of the way. Swing it aside, and then yank this end of it out of the car.
Just like that.
Alrighty, and now it's out.
So you guys can see a side by side. So these are the diverter valves right here. If you have the charge pipe that's not going to use a blow-off valve, you'll have two little parts of the charge pipe that stick out so that you can attach these via a silicone hose that's about like this tall or so. But in this case, he's deleting these, so you know, you don't really have to worry about these. You can pretty much just leave them on the charge pipe, set it aside. It's a good idea to keep these, by the way, in case you ever want to stock out. Don't sell it. So that's just my advice.
Alright, so I'm swapping it with Adam now because he has to help a customer. So, onto the original charge pipe, there is the OEM map sensor, which is here. We're going to swap that over to the new one. This is held in with T20s, so we're going to remove those two. Just like that. Move this aside, twist it, pull and twist at the same time. This will allow it to come out easily and not damage the O-ring, which is located there, the green one. You can tell this one was actually leaking because there's oil here. So that means that the O-ring on here was failing. So you probably had a boost leak because of this. So now we are going to move that aside. We're done with that. Grab the new charge pipe and we are going to swap over the new charge pipe. Installation, same thing. You want to make sure that this is well lubricated. So there is a little bit of oil on here. So I'll spin this around on here. A light coating. And then we are going to place it on here. Twist and push at the same time. Slides right in. And then now you have two bolts that's included with the kit. These are H3 bolts and they come with washers as well. So one washer on each bolt, just like that. And then we are going to do this by hand so we don't strip it. Start it on by hand like that. Grab the next one, swap it over, put the washer on. Same thing with this one. Start it by hand. These do not need to be that tight. So once it's started by hand, we're going to use a ratchet. Alright, that's swapped over. So now we can grab these here and then the charge pipe as well. So charge pipe can now be placed inside of here. We are not going to fully install this just yet. Move it aside, just place it into position. And I want to make sure that this charge pipe is actually below the throttle body. Like this. Just like that. And we'll let it sit. And then we have the plugs that I was talking about earlier. This is going to go into your inlet, like so. And you have one more plus a clamp, so we'll put a clamp on here for now. Then one more for the back side. Push it on, like that. Place the clamp inside of here, just like that. Now we're going to grab the coupler. The position I like to place this is the bolt is facing this side towards the driver's side. not this way, because you won't be able to tighten it because the hose blocks it. Place it onto here like that. Same thing with this one, place it aside here. And then now we can actually get this onto the charge pipe like that. And then we're going to get it onto the lower charge pipe, which is here, like this. Okay, and then slide this back in. Make sure that they are all in together. And then now we are going to push it in a little bit further. And then now we're going to grab the blow-off valve and charge pipe to pull this and connect it to the throttle body. And then we just push it together and inside. Alright, so I just tightened up the clamp here and here. Just make sure that when you tighten it, you see the little lip above it, just like this. That's when you know it's past that lip. That's what's going to stop it from popping off on both ends of it. And then I tighten up this one in the position where it's facing that direction, so it can run to the vacuum line over there. And then put the C-clip on, plug in the sensor, and then run these two lines, and that's pretty much it. Now it's just reassembling. Alrighty, so now that we have the charge pipe installed, we positioned the blow-off valve in the position that I want it, which is facing that direction. This clamp right here is actually H4, so you can tighten this with the H4, and then once you tighten that, just tighten it by hand. Don't go too crazy with it. It's going to clamp itself, lock itself into place, and we're pretty much done. Now it's just reassembly. So that's pretty much how you install a charge pipe on a N54 or N55. N55 does not have a blow-off valve, but it's essentially the same thing. This applies to the E chassis. F chassis is completely different because you have a lower charge pipe that goes all the way down to the intercooler. All right, that ends it for today's vlog. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, hit the like button and subscribe if you guys enjoy it. Peace.